on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
7:36 this Monday morning. Coming up at 8:05, Adam Gillette, Accuracy and Media, and 8:15, Trevor Maddich on the Commanders game. I'm Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. Julie, we're not the only media company out here, organization, that Superintendent Dr. Aaron Spence doesn't want to sit down and have an interview with. Nick Minock, WJLA. It's good company we're in, actually.
Yeah.
He finally tracked down the good superintendent out at a meeting in a school in Loudoun County, and listen to what happened.
Yeah, it's nice talking with you. Superintendent Spence, why did it take you so long to notify the public about fentanyl overdoses? Sir, why did it take you so long?
Nick, we're not going to do this tonight. We're not going to have this conversation the way we're having this conversation. We've had a conversation.
When are we going to have the conversation?
Put the camera away. You and I go sit down and have coffee, and we'll talk about your approach to journalism, Nick. Okay?
Why did it take you so long to notify the parents about the fentanyl overdoses? You didn't know about the overdoses late September?
We have a constituent.
Yeah, I understand. Why did it take you so long?
She does not want to be on camera. Do you mind?
I'm asking you a question. Why do people?
Wait, I want to pause it there. At that point, Dr. Spence goes and basically uses a parent as a human shield. Yes. Stands directly in front of her. And she got, by the way, by the time he said that, she doesn't want to be on camera. She had already moved off camera. Right? But I want to listen to the rest of it, but let's bring in Nick Minock here just to sort of give us the play-by-play at that point. You've been trying to get, Nick, first of all, thanks for joining us. Great work as always. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning.
You've been trying to get this interview with Dr. Spence for a while. Isn't this the guy who ran on transparency? You know, we're turning the page on the Ziegler administration. We're going to do things differently. We've got an open office. We'll talk about anything. Why didn't he want to talk to you?
Well, the answer to your question is yes, 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 and yes. He interviewed with us back in June when he was the superintendent of Virginia City Beach Public Schools. He's going to come on board to Loudoun County. And he said he was going to communicate, be willing to answer questions, and be willing to acknowledge when you've made mistakes. So parents feel like he hasn't communicated, especially when it comes to these fentanyl overdose notifications. Weeks went by, parents didn't get notifications, and so he's been on the job for about 3 months now. And now there is a governor's executive order written and issued by Governor Youngkin because of a perceived mistake he made. And this is life and death. And so we've been asking for an interview. 7 News has been asking for an interview with Mr. Spence for 10 days before this exchange happened. So we don't necessarily go throw a camera in someone's face if it's day 1 or 2 or 3. But if it's very clear they're not going to do an interview and answer questions on an important topic like this, we will show up. Yeah, and we will ask questions.
And reporters have won awards for this kind of dogged pursuit of a person, especially an elected official who is accountable to the taxpayer, who refuses to be held accountable. I want to listen to a little bit more because he does stop and try to give you his memorized talking points. Listen.
To be on camera, do you mind?
To notify the public about fentanyl overdoses. Sir? Right. Sir, this is life and death.
This would be.
You said you were going to improve communication and transparency. Do you think you succeeded in that?
So, Nick, when you put the camera away, you and I can have a conversation about journalism, and then we can talk about this conversation.
Do you think you have improved transparency as the new superintendent?
Yes.
By not notifying the public about fentanyl overdoses? When?
As soon as I became aware of it, I put a team to work on it. I asked them to do a communication plan, an education plan, and a safety assessment. They got to work on that immediately, and before students were back in that building, we had a communication out to parents.
And when did you tell parents? Around the time that the governor...
and you'll notice that he doesn't answer any of the other questions. All right, so Nick, what he just said to you, does that fact check out, or is that sort of weasel words from a politician?
I have some serious questions about what he just said. It wasn't until the Loudoun County Sheriff got involved that we even knew these fentanyl overdoses were happening. And I submitted FOIAs to get some emails between the Loudoun Sheriff and the superintendent. And it appears the superintendent did not want this information to go out ever to the community about these fentanyl overdoses. And you see, and we actually have this in our web story on WJLA.com, where it shows the sheriff said, you know what, I saw the notification you sent out that he had encouraged the principal to send out to the community. It didn't even mention there were fentanyl overdoses at Parkview High School. It said, wow. It just read like a PSA, like fentanyl is very serious. And so if you're a parent and you're getting a PSA in your email, it may not be as urgent as, hey, there were 9 fentanyl overdoses at school since late September. There was no sense of urgency. And so then that's when the sheriff stepped in and he put out a notification to the public about what happened. He put a number on the number of overdoses, and then he linked to resources to help. And so Nick, it looks like the sheriff was the one who got this out to the public.
Just unbelievable. Nick, you also reported that you went to that school board meeting and tried to talk to Dr. Spence, but you said earlier, you know, he was meeting with parents, and you said he got an earful from parents who, not just about the fentanyl overdoses, but also gender inclusive bathrooms. Can you give us a sense of the sort of the atmosphere in that room and what some of the parents said?
Yeah, so that's been another hot topic across Virginia right now are these bathrooms that school systems have that allow non-binary, transgender, and gender fluid students to use the bathrooms, locker rooms, and showers of their choice despite their biological sex. And that's the case in Fairfax, Prince William, and Loudoun County schools. So he had this listening session last week. A topic that got brought up over and over and over again were from parents and how they don't like these locker rooms, they don't like these bathrooms. They cited specific cases of how their children are having to change in front of, as they call it, members of the opposite sex. And they wanted answers from the superintendent on that. Now, he did not say he was going to reverse it. He defended the policy. He said that the school board's going to review it. I think this Thursday, there's going to be a committee meeting at 5 o'clock where they're going to discuss this policy further. But parents understandably upset about what's happening, because this isn't like a policy where, you know, what if this happens? It is happening, and parents are bringing this up to him, and they're very concerned. This is at Woodgrove High School where this so-called listening session was happening with parents. This is the same high school about a week prior where students held a walkout. The freshman football team hosted this walkout to protest the bathrooms and ask the school board and the superintendent to restore girls only and boys only showers, locker rooms, and bathrooms.
Nick Minock, WJLA, thanks for doing great work. Continue to do it. We love talking with you about it. And I'd love to talk to you, Nick, as soon as you turn the cameras off. Sir, I don't think you understand how this works. Yeah, Larry, I'd love to give an interview. Just turn that radio microphone off. That's actually not an interview. Nick, keep up the great work.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
It's 7:45. It's like this whole listening tour thing. I'm going to go out and have a listening session with parents. That means you don't have to talk.
Right.
Yeah. What are your answers to all this? We're angry. I'm just here to listen. I'm just here to listen. Then I'm going to go away and forget everything happened. 7:45.